We're going to talk about enablement, and we're going to talk about a movement that's happening right now in the world of enablement. You know, we are all enablement. We're all enablement multipliers. We just had our conference last week, the SalesHood conference. We had close to 200 enablement professionals come together to talk about the power of enablement. Enablement is a company-wide initiative. We heard that loud and clear at the panel right before. So I just want to get a quick poll. How many people in the room are in the enablement profession? Raise your hand, please. Let's just see. Wow, there are a lot of enablement folks in the room. So that's incredible. So kudos to the Sales 3.0 organization. And while I was just talking, how did we do with the video? You think you can play it? Because this movement requires vision. This movement requires getting people to be inspired by each other. That's what enablement is all about. Can I give you one more try?
Here's to the crazy ones, the doers, the coaches, the enablers, the culture builders, the revenue drivers, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of losing deals, and they have no respect for excuses. You can believe them, disagree with them, celebrate or curse them. About the only thing you can't do is be successful without them. Because they change things. They push teams forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see enablement multipliers. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
I really wanted to start with that video because, you know, I'm really passionate about enablement. And, you know, I'm from Toronto originally. And, you know, I moved to San Francisco almost 20 years ago. It's pretty wild. I learned so much from my father selling. And it's, you know, as an enablement professional, to take the lessons learned when we were very young and to bring that forward to our organizations is something that I've carried with me from the very beginning. And so just like that video of revenue drivers and coaches and doers, and we heard a panel before, you know, my background from Toronto all the way to Silicon Valley, I ended up finding myself working at Salesforce in 2005, right? It was an amazing time. It was not cool, and it was scary. There was no tower downtown, and it was not cool to sell cloud. It was hard. We couldn't recruit salespeople, and we were on a mission. We were on a vision to win. Now, how did we win? With enablement. This is the story. We won with enablement. I wrote a book about the culture of winning, and the book is here. And if anyone wants the book, you can go to our booth in the back, and you can get it. We've brought a bunch of copies for all of you. And what I want to do today is give you a little bit of a snippet into what life was like from 2005 until 2013, the hyper-growth years from 300 million to 3 billion. Crazy times. How many of you want to have that 10x growth in sub 8 years? That's the ultimate multiplier. And as an organization, we embraced enablement top down. You know, we were receiving corporate presentations and corporate vision from the top, from Mark Benioff himself. But guess what? We'd get the vision, and guess what we'd have to do? We'd have to run around the world and certify and coach everyone. It was hard work. You heard Jared, you know, who was up here earlier. We were on the same team. And there are actually 120 of us. Just think about it for a second. 120 enablement professionals that were focused on certifying, coaching, and yes, delivering whatever the sales teams needed. The metaphor that Jared shared, the Amazon, that was exactly our mantra. We were around the world. We did everything we could. 2 boot camps per month, 30 kickoffs. I just want you to feel the intensity of that. Like, we were doing enablement before most companies were, because we were looking for ways to win. These were the multipliers. We were certifying, coaching, kickoffs, and we did more and we did more and we did more, but it reached a point. It started breaking. You know what? The numbers didn't work. We couldn't fly around anymore. The budgets weren't there. It was hard to certify. Once we hit 3,000, 4,000 salespeople, It was impossible to certify each person, coach each person, do their deal reviews one-on-one. Just think about that. So I started thinking to myself, there's got to be a better way. And go back to late 2012, early 2013, as I was thinking about what I was going to do next, I thought, how do we take the essence of what we did so well, right? The essence of it was sharing best practices. I had the good fortune of, opening up an old email folder and finding a lot of gratitude. The gratitude was all about storytelling. The gratitude was all about, hey, you helped us win by connecting us with the best plays, connecting us with the best stories. So this notion of a connected web, of a connective organization was something I became infatuated with. 120 people, we were everywhere at Salesforce, but that's not real because I was talking to a lot of companies, and guess how many enablement people most companies had? A head and a half. So how do you enable thousands of people with a head and a half? How do you share knowledge? And so that's when I founded the company SalesHood, right? I thought, hey, you know what? We've got manhood, we've got womanhood, we've got boyhood, we've got all these hoods. If I'm a salesperson, where do I learn? What's the fully developed salesperson? In March 13th, 2013, wow, the universe was there for me, and the URL SalesHood was available. It inspired me to found a company, and to found a company specifically designed to enable globally, at scale, the way that we were enabling our teams back at Salesforce. And, here are the pillars. But I'm going to share with you a blueprint. We've learned a lot over the years. I'm going to pull up a friend on stage who happens to be here as well. We've learned a lot over the years. For us to enable our organizations, here are 6 important pillars, right? Training. We need to deliver training like we never have before. And it needs to be just in time. And it needs to be fun, just like we saw in those earlier videos. Yes, comedy, it's a good thing. Let's make it fun. Let's do onboarding in a team-based environment, collaboratively. Let's get folks to kind of learn together. And then let's deliver coaching. Let's get our managers to be the coaches that we need them to be. And we want to also do assessments in a way that drives outcomes. And then, yes, we want to deliver content just in time. And we want to build a culture of storytelling. Now, something that we heard a little bit about earlier today, the data, the insights. We want to take all of this activity, all these programs, and we want to start correlating them to outcomes. We want to correlate them to attainment data. We want to know what's working and what's not working. And then we want to celebrate achievements. Right? We did this beautifully at Salesforce, but we did it with resources. And now, in my world, we're doing it with over 100 companies. We've got close to 30,000 salespeople that are doing enablement the modern way. It's incredible, right? Modern enablement, peer-to-peer, social learning, video, data-driven. These are the things. And I'm not sitting here, I'm not pitching the company. We're going to kind of go deep. I have learned a lot over the years. We've learned a lot from Salesforce. We've learned a lot from our customers. We've learned a lot from some amazing enablement multipliers, right? We're successful as a profession because our enablement multipliers, the ones we work with, are successful themselves. Whether you're DocuSign and you're achieving amazing growth, whether you're RingCentral, who's 3x booking, Siobhan Thatcher, who is an amazing enablement professional, one of the founders of the SC Society, or if you're lucky enough to have someone who is in the room, who wasn't supposed to be here, who's here, who you're going to call up on stage to talk about her enablement story, how she is an enablement multiplier. So with that, I'd like to invite my dear friend Quinn to come on up. Q, please. Let's give a round of applause. There are steps here. We got some awesome music. I'm a big believer. I love sharing, and I love hearing from folks that I admire. Give you a big hug. Oh. And the enablement profession's a big hugging community. I'm going to pass the mic, and why don't you tell folks about yourself a little bit and what being an enablement multiplier means to you in your career.
Perfect. Thank you, Eli. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? That doesn't sound very exciting. How is everyone doing this morning? Great. Well, thank you for all of you for attending today. My name is Quinn, but everybody calls me Q, just like the James Bond reference, where Q was James Bond's enabler, and I'm the enabler of an organization called Financial Force. Yeah. So in regards to my background, I was actually 8 years at Salesforce. So I was a part of this amazing journey with Eli and Jared, thinking about how do we enable, for me personally, I was responsible for the sales engineering enablement of the organization. But what's really interesting is I also, as Laura had mentioned earlier in her panel, tripped into the role of enablement. I first started in consulting and then in IT, and I realized that I missed the world of working with our customers, and one of my mentors had outlined, well, Q, why don't you think about enabling our internal customers, our employees of the company? After 8 years at Salesforce, I then transitioned to a company by the name of Zenefits and was responsible for enablement there for the last 2 years. And for the last year and a half, I have been running enablement for all of our go-to-market teams, from our SDR, BDR organization all the way to our kind of partner alliances organization. And what I've always thought about is, in terms of enablement, and I'm sure a majority of you in this room have thought about these different pillars. For me, these pillars also represent what are the programs that I would put into place or my team would put into place. What are the tools, for example, Salesforce. We also utilize SalesHood, and what we've done is we've rebranded SalesHood as Financial Force Learning and opened this to the entire organization. And as Scott had asked his panel previously, where does then world of enablement represent and is heading in the next direction? And I believe that enablement should be for the entire company. Not only is it learning and development, I think it's how do we make all of our internal teams very successful? And then also, what are the events, so such as kickoffs internally and or customer events that all of our salespeople or go-to-market team members are a part of. And so that's a little bit about what we do at Financial Force.
It's amazing. I wanted folks to hear directly from an enablement professional, a multiplier, someone that's achieved tremendous success and truly done a remarkable thing. The notion of company-wide enablement is where enablement's going. I'll give you another big hug. Thanks for coming up. Are you going to be around?
Yes, I'll be around. And then my email's really easy if you ever wanted to connect. I'm just Q at Financial Force.
Q at Financial Force. Here we go. Great story. What a multiplier. Thank you. Thank you. What makes all these great companies successful is great people, great mindset, also great technology, so they're able to realize the benefits, scale their businesses, and not have to, add on the hundreds of resources that, we were trying to do back at Salesforce. And so this is a quick glimpse. We do have a booth here, and you can meet my team. They're all here. We're really pumped. Where's my team? Raise your hand. Woohoo! We're all the hoodies here. And I'm going to just one more comment on Queen. We gave out hoodie awards at our conference last week. Enablement Leader of the Year, Enablement Rookie of the Year. We gave Scott Santucci a Lifetime Achievement in Enablement. Is Scott in the room? Well, let's give Scott a round of applause for receiving that amazing award. And Q, because of her amazing engagement, because her people want to learn. That's what she's created at Financial Force, a learning culture. People are hungry to consume. She has the highest engagement. We talk about data. We talk about how you can measure results, measure outcome, drive outcomes. It's with the data. That's why a system like this is really important, because you want to start correlating the activity to outcomes so you can be even more productive and be more successful. So congrats again. Congrats against Q. So here's what the data has taught us. And so this is an interesting takeaway. When you, as enablement leaders, when you start rolling out your programs and you start rolling out your content and you start rolling out all the training and learning that you do, we've learned some lessons over the last 5 years. And here's what we've learned, with millions and millions of video watching seconds and a great data set and billions of dollars of shareholder value that we've increased. There's some fundamental truths. Number one, when you roll out content to your teams and you ask them to watch it, and then you ask them to practice, you ask them to share feedback, you ask them to record their pitch or record their story. If you make it short, 5 minutes or less, guess how many times they're going to practice it? 5 times. And then, by virtue of them practicing it 5 times, then they realize, they grab their phone, they record their pitch, they record a story. It's fascinating. When they do that, then they realize a light bulb goes off, and they realize, wow, I'm better. That's what enablement is about. It's not the inspection. It's not the stick. It's the carrot. The carrot is, how do we get our people to be the best that they can be? And we do that by making it easy and simple for them to practice their trade. So this idea of 5, 10, 20, your people will practice their stories, will practice their pitches, will practice their deal reviews, will practice their whatever that thing is, as long as you make the task 5 minutes or less, 5 times they'll practice it. And then they're committed forever to the world of enablement. They're going to love you for life. You'll be recognized because you've just made it easy. Then they're going to go watch and review 10 of their peers. You talk about the ultimate multiplier, an accelerator of results, of outcomes. You create a doorway for them to get access to information, to get access to the best of the best. Everybody moves up. Everybody does. And then they're going to go watch 20, 5, 10, 20. Now, that 5, 10, 20 number, guess what happens to your pipeline? Shoots up. And what happens to your attainment? So what we're seeing is companies that embrace modern enablement, companies that embrace the principles, which I'm going to go through in a second and share with you some of the principles. They end up seeing a higher distribution of quota across their organizations. What does that mean in English? It means more people crush their numbers, and it means overall that you're going to generate more revenue. So I wanted to share this with you. This is data that we've extracted from our customer base, and it's consistent. You speak to any of the other companies that have technology around enablement. When they measure this, the numbers are even higher as well. So we're being conservative here. So we've cracked the code. We've figured out how to take something people don't like to do, learning and training and classroom, and kind of flip the room literally, and create this space where people can be great. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, you know, given all my experience and all the great people that I get to work with and the enablement multipliers and everything that we do, we've created a framework. And I just finished my second book, and my new book is called Enablement Mastery. And I've taken all the learnings of the last few years, and I've created a book for the enablement profession. And the first third of the book is all about the crazies and the enablement multipliers and what it means to be an enabler. The middle of the book is this framework. And this was what Gerhard asked me to talk about. He's like, can you share some of the secrets? What should people do, and what does great enablement represent? And so here we go. 6 fundamental principles. It's a framework. And you know, open to feedback. Would love your thoughts on it. But number 1, I want everybody to first think about go-to-market, right? What problem are you solving? Second, you got to document your processes. And third, you got to build a culture of learning. 4, you got to make sure communications are relevant and compelling. And 5, you got to create an engagement culture where your people are being the best they can be in front of their customers. And then finally, you got to close the loop, correlate attainment, and celebrate, right? These are 6 truths, and I'm going to go through each one, and I'm going to share with you some insights. I'm going to share with you some lessons learned and things that hopefully you can take and work with your teams. And this is really my aim, that you're going to walk away with some tactics that you can take into your business pretty quickly and start implementing it and realize the same results and create your own versions of Q inside of your company. So that way you can be celebrated and you can celebrate the people that you're making great. Because that's what this is about. That's what enablement is about, making our people great. But we want to do it across the company. So we need to align go-to-market. And company-wide enablement is something that is a mindset. We were fortunate at Salesforce. It came from the top. Benioff said, boom, this is important. We're going to double down. We're going to invest, and we're going to go after it, and we're going to do this. At a time when the market was declining, 2006, 2007, that wasn't a great time in the market. Things weren't growing up. We were investing more and more and more and more and more. And how do we do it? We were proving value. So we knew what problems we were solving. We knew the metrics and the KPIs that we were solving. We had a clear handle on, you know, investments that we were making in certain geos, in certain channels, in certain segments. We knew. And this is what I want each of you to think about. I want each of you to think about, in your enablement world, inside of your company, what problems are you solving? All too often, what happens? We get, you know, and Scott talked about it, like, you know, just say no, right? We get things land on our plates. We need you to do this. We got to do this. And because we're the givers, because we're the connectors, because we're the ones that are here to solve problems, we say yes and we do it. And that's what being an enabler is about. We want to deliver value, but sometimes we don't slow down a little bit, just like I'm going to slow down right now in my talk. And you know, I'm doing well on time, so we're good. We don't slow down, and we don't answer the fundamental question. What problem are we solving? Are we solving win rates? You know, are we solving problems around deal size? Are we solving problems around attainment? Are we solving problems around time to ramp? Give you a story. We get a lot of calls at SalesHood. People call us up and say, hey, we have an onboarding problem. Great, we can help you. Tell me about your onboarding problem. And they say, wow, our salespeople are not ramping fast enough. Wow, Why is that such a big problem for you? Oh, because we're going to grow the company and we've got a really big enablement vision and the growth will slow down. How many salespeople do you have? We have about 50, 60 salespeople. How many people are you hiring? Well, we're going to hire 2 people this year. Like, okay, tell me about the attainment of your organization. How effective right now? What's the attainment numbers? Well, we got about 40%. That's kind of the benchmark. 40% of our salespeople are not making or only making their numbers. Guess what? It's not an onboarding problem. It's an attainment problem. So let's not go try and build this, tricked out onboarding program for the world when actually let's go focus on kind of the basics. We have, 50 salespeople that aren't hitting quota. Let's make them more successful before we start throwing more people into it. That's what I mean by aligning go-to-market. That's what I mean by solving real problems and pulling everybody with you. It's not just someone that lives under ops. It's not just someone that lives in L&D under HR. You got to get everyone with you. It is a company-wide initiative. Congrats to the Wells Fargo team that is, building kind of a broader team. That's what I did at Salesforce. I grew from 12 people to 120 people by demonstrating value and pulling under me the specific resources that I needed to be successful because folks wanted to see results. So that's go-to-market. The next thing we've got to do is we've got to get the processes down. It's not someone else's fault or it's not someone else's issue to kind of get the sales process. It's our job to make sure sales process, deal reviews, territory plans, account plans, all this stuff is documented. It's living in the organization. It's done in ad hoc fashion. It's our job to pull the smart people together from sales ops and to ask them some fundamental questions. As enablement professionals, what do our salespeople need to do to be successful? How are they going to grow their territories? How are they going to grow their business? How are they going to run their deals? So we don't have to have all the answers. We just need to have a framework where we can go and get people to be successful and get the information that we need and get the documents. So it's our job to document, right? Sales process, account planning, playbooks. That's what we want to do. And these are 6 that I think are critical for every organization. And, there's a maturity scale, right? You probably start with some foundational sales process. If you're newer in the organization or your company is a little earlier in the life cycle, then you're probably not going to go build out an account planning process unless you need it. So it's your job to really have a good sense of, where do we focus and where do we put energy? And so think about it. We're focusing on problems. We're defining our metrics. We're building out resources. We're going deep on documenting our processes. And then we're going to go build learning. Well, we didn't start with learning. We started with a lot of strategy at the outset, a lot of strategy. That's our role. Our role is to be strategic thinkers and strategic partners to the CMOs, the CROs, and the CEOs. We need to help folks be thoughtful about how we're going to drive enablement and the right enablement. It is possible to do the wrong enablement. We can throw too much content. We can throw the wrong kind of training and learning and have a negative multiplier effect. It's possible. I've seen it. It sucks. So what we want to do here today is show you what good enablement looks like. And these are some of the tactics. And so when you're thinking about building a learning culture, there are some fundamental principles. Number 1, we have to coach our managers first. We have to train our managers first. That's why I wrote this book. So this book, if you read it, is a deep dive into how to build a winning culture, how to build a coaching culture, and how winning sales managers inspire teams to succeed. I wrote this book for managers because when I left Salesforce, I realized the reason why we were so successful was that we had strong vision, we had great content, and then we were able to turn to the managers, all the frontline managers and the VPs. We certified them first, and they were part of the enablement process. They had a part that they played. Whenever we'd get a new corporate pitch deck, guess what? I would go into I'd go into the president's offices and I would certify every manager, every VP, every president, and then we would trickle down the certifications. We would trickle down the knowledge sharing. This is how the best of the best do it today. Quinn was on stage. She's rolled out several corporate pitch certifications at Financial Force. Guess who goes first? The managers go first. And we got to make learning collaborative, open and transparent. Because when we roll out learning and training, we want folks to be able to learn from each other. And so there's an old school way of doing certifications and an old school way of rolling out training, and you can put people in a room like this, and then one at a time at a kickoff, you go into a back room, and you've got a certifying person that certifies you. That's okay, right? Yes, you'll know if everyone is certified, and you can control the standards because that person, bless their soul, has to sit there and watch 300 certifications. They're going to certify it great, but what you really miss is you miss the opportunity to have each of you watch each other's presentations. Because, hey, I want to go find out how Jared did his. I want to find out how Gerhard did his. I want to find out how Mario's pitch is. Whoever it is, I want to go find it because I've practiced, I've learned, and what I know over the years, salespeople learn from each other. Peers learn from peers. Social learning needs to be a big part. The world isn't ready for it yet. We're getting there. That's why I'm standing here on stage speaking. That's why I created SalesHood, to create this culture of learning, to create this social learning culture that's going to help companies multiply their results. And also, I'm a big believer in learning by doing, right? I think, there are a lot of people I've learned from over the years, and Barry Ryan, he's the founder of Selling Through Curiosity. He spoke at our conference last week, and I love his words. Show me, don't tell me. Show me, don't tell me. Don't tell me you know the pitch. Don't tell me you've closed a great deal. Show me. Do it. Just like do it right now. And so we just make it easy to do it with video, with mobile, with peer-to-peer. We help organizations scale it. Because that goodness that we did at Salesforce, it's the goodness that works. And we've just created a platform that helps companies achieve the goodness. And then after learning, then guess what? I'm all schooled up. I've practiced my pitch. I understand where this fits in. I get the why. I know why we're doing what we're doing. I've got all my training. But now I'm in the field. As a salesperson, as an individual, I need content. And I don't need it all just I need specific pieces of content at specific times of the day, at specific moments. I'm about to hop on a call with a customer, boom, send me a story. I'm about to meet a customer, boom, send me the win story. I'm about to meet a customer for a late stage deal, boom, send me a proposal template. Whatever it is, that's how we should be thinking about our content. Our content is alive, and it needs to become alive. It can't be this static repository of stuff, dumpster that sits there that people go look for. You got to bring it to life, you got to tag it, you got to curate it, and how cool would it be if we could take some of the stories and pitches and videos from the best of the best and have that stuff auto-tagged. So it's not just me hearing the deck from marketing or hearing a pitch from a product manager. I can hear the pitches from the best of the best, and then that stuff shows up to me just in time. And this is what we want to do as marketers. How many marketers in the room? When you create, so there's 20, 25 of you, when you create content, what do you want to know? You want to know who's consuming it, how effective is it? And so this is an important step in the journey of enablement multipliers, which is the go-to-market. The processes need to be documented. The learning culture needs to be created. Managers need to go first, and then boom, we got to get the content out there just in time. And we want to make every conversation, we want to make every moment that our people are talking with customers, we want to make every moment great. I've got 3 fundamental principles. I'm a basics, back to basics person. Going back to that first picture I showed you of my dad's furniture store, he taught me a ton about selling, listening, looking for cues, asking questions. It's amazing, right? I got a master in sales when I was 5 years old from my dad. And I thank him for that all the time when I speak to him. But I carry that with me. At times as enablement professionals, when we get overwhelmed with product and we get overwhelmed with all this stuff, I encourage you to kind of just slow down, get back to basics, and let's make sure, are our people asking questions? Are they telling stories? And are they executing in a flawless way that we'd expect to be executed if we were being sold to, right? Curiosity is an important part of our journey. Are our people asking questions versus showing up and throwing up? Are they asking questions? Are they being thoughtful? Do they understand our customers' businesses? These are important principles in enablement, right? It's our job to help our people be the best they can be, and it means we got to remind them of the basics. And we want them to tell stories. Share compelling stories. Don't just give me a demo. When someone says, hey, I'm interested in something, well, let me give you an example. And we want folks to be executing flawlessly. And what does that mean? It means simple things like, agendas and meetings, sending follow-up emails, sending thank you notes, right? As enablement professionals, it's our job to help our people be the best they can be. And we need to remind them sometimes of the basics. Like, when a customer closes a deal, it's a good thing to send them a thank you note. Say, thanks for buying our business. Thanks for being a partner. And so, each one of these I could have gone deeper and deeper and deeper on. And, here we are with kind of the closing the loop here on achievements. And I love it, right? Because we start with go-to-market. We go through the journey of learning and coaching and learning from each other. We go deep. We understand our processes, and we're sharing content. And then we're really executing we're executing the best that we can be. But you know what? We got to celebrate results. But how do we know what's working? So let's take all that activity and let's correlate it to outcomes. So let's know that, hey, this content that everybody downloaded actually closed some deals. Or let's know that, this pitch that everybody practiced, the fact that our people practiced it, it actually resulted in an improvement in win rates. Let's find out, finally. Let's finally find out what's working and what's not working. And celebrating achievements is about getting our people to share stories. There's something emotional that I get when I get the good fortune of watching our customers, their people, share their win stories. It's truly incredible. There's something emotional when an executive, a president of a company, grabs a phone and invites an entire organization to share their win stories. Right? This is something that doesn't happen enough. And we have the good fortune of working with companies that believe in these principles. And when we sit down with a company, guess what? We coach them. We say, here's what success looks like. If you want to have an improvement in win rates, if you want to have a reduction, an increase in attainment, if you want to have a reduction in time to ramp, you have to do these fundamental things. And so I got permission to show you a video because I believe so much in stories, and I believe in telling stories, and I believe in sharing stories, and I believe that if I'm a salesperson and I share my win story, tech is great now. The stories are transcribed, they're searchable, you can automatically tag them. I win a story, I win a deal. I've told everyone how I've won. Guess what? 2 weeks later, a month later, I'm about to go visit a company that's similar, and then boom, pops up that's not the future. That's right now. But I wanted you to feel the emotion, the raw emotion. So what you're going to see in the video, we're not ready to play yet, but are you almost ready? I don't want to lose my thing here. We're good. Okay, we're good, yeah? 2 minutes, 44 seconds. We're doing great. Boom. The video you're going to see is a video from a company called Yext. And you're going to see the opening videos from the president. Yes, Jim Steele. And Jim Steele also was president at Salesforce. And so when we would get our pitch decks from Mark, I'd go into Jim Steele's office and I'd certify him. And then he so there's a connection here. Greatness and results happen with purpose and intent. And then you're going to see an invitation. He recorded a video, and you're going to see a snippet of it. And then you're going to see some of his salespeople at Yext share some of their secrets. So with that, let's go ahead and play this video.
I look forward to meeting all of you at SCO in 2 weeks in New York City. We're going to share best practices. We're going to hear customer stories. We're going to celebrate our successes. And I want to hear all of your customer stories, your war stories, how we win, why we win, what customer problems we're solving.
We got them to come to Yext. And if I could say 3 words, just get people here to Yext.
We took, I think it was 4 facilities and 6 doctors live so we could prove to them that it was real and that they could control their brand no matter where people looked.
We were told not to present at a certain level. We did. And once we opened their eyes to the true value of Yext, we got a tremendous deal and another brand.
It took about 35 days, I want to say, to from start to finish, which is pretty quick.
They really took us to the mat time and time again to prove out the value of Yext.
This is just a true example of perseverance, never giving up, and the importance of really proving out that ROI.
Use your team resources. There are so many resources at Yext if you just use them.
And that's the relationships that we build over time.
Build great relationships and work well with your teams.
Build a strong relationship with the customer.
And sometimes it just takes giving the personal touch and also proving that you're going to be there not only when they sign, but also to help them grow their business is really helpful.
Let's give that video and that team a round of applause. That's real. Those are real people sharing their real stories and helping each other be successful. That's where we want to get to inside of our cultures. That's where we want to get to. So what you saw there was like Jim inviting everyone. There he is on a mountain in Utah, sharing, but he grabbed his phone, recorded the story, committed to the process of enablement. So for those of you in the room that are working with CROs, that's how you know your CRO's ready. They're willing to grab their phone and record a video on the top of their mountain as well, wherever they live. And then folks are sharing their stories and they're helping each other be successful. So with that, I'm going to close with, if anyone in the room wants to learn more about SalesHood, my team is here. If anyone in the room wants to, take all this goodness and bring it to your companies, we'll gladly offer you a trial, because this storytelling and that energy just doesn't happen by accident. It requires a decision, a mindset that you want to be an enablement multiplier. But we also have a community. We've partnered with the SC Society, and we've got, all of our best practices are located inside of the SalesHood community. And, I'm here. My team is here. Please, SalesHood folks, stand up so you guys can get to meet them. Stand up, SalesHood folks. So this is our team. And with that, I'm going to just say thank you very much for the opportunity to share a little bit about what modern enablement looks like, and wish you all to be enablement multipliers too. Welcome.